After 2 weeks of respite from the spine-chilling events detailed in The Haunting of Dream House Part 1, I made a bold decision. I was going back. Despite the protests of my concerned family, who were adamant that the house was too perilous to inhabit, I couldn't bear to abandon our dream home. It was a monumental investment, and I wasn't about to let it slip through my fingers. My family urged caution, advising me to hold off on my return until they could devise a plan to ensure my safety. I agreed to their terms, patiently biding my time until the moment felt right. Fast forward 2 weeks, and my mom gave me the green light to venture back to the house. With assurances from my family that they would take care of Sarah in my absence, I embarked on the journey back to our troubled abode. Stepping through the familiar threshold, I couldn't shake the feeling of apprehension. But to my surprise, the house appeared unchanged, save for the addition of surveillance cameras strategically placed throughout. It was a precautionary measure, a lifeline for my concerned loved ones to keep a watchful eye on me from afar. In the days that followed, a sense of normalcy slowly settled over the house. The nightmares that had plagued me before were conspicuously absent, replaced by a newfound calm. Perhaps I dared to hope the horrors of the past were nothing more than figments of my imagination. As the week stretched into a month, I found myself settling into a routine, living alone in the house while Sarah remained under the watchful care of my family. It was a lonely existence, but one that offered a sense of solace amidst the lingering uncertainty. Then, one fateful Friday evening, an unexpected invitation from my colleague Jack changed everything. Instead of venturing to his home as usual, I extended an offer to host a gathering at my own abode. With the promise of a cozy cookout and good company, Jack and another co-worker, Frank, eagerly accepted. As we gathered around the grill, swapping stories and sharing laughter, I couldn't help but marvel at the newfound sense of camaraderie that filled the air. Little did I know that this seemingly innocent gathering would unravel a chain of events that would plunge me back into the heart of darkness. As the clock struck 11 p.m. and our laughter echoed through the halls, signaling the end of another memorable evening, we realized that one of our own was nowhere to be found. Frank, the life of the party, was conspicuously absent as we prepared to bid each other farewell. With a furrowed brow, Jack dialed Frank's number, the tension mounting with each unanswered ring. Just when we were beginning to worry, Frank emerged from the shadows, a sheepish grin plastered on his face. His excuse? A quick smoke break that had somehow stretched into an eternity. As the last of our guests departed, leaving me to tidy up the remnants of our festivities, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered in the air. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a series of peculiar events that would unfold in the days to come. The following morning, as the sun bathed the world in golden light, I received an unexpected call from Jack. With a hint of excitement in his voice, he proposed another evening of revelry, complete with fresh seafood and a brand new PlayStation. Eager to recapture the magic of our previous gathering, I eagerly accepted his invitation. As night fell and the three of us gathered once more, the air crackled with anticipation. Dinner was served, games were played, and laughter filled the room until the late hours of the evening. But as the clock struck 11, signaling the end of another unforgettable night, Jack dropped a bombshell. Frank had decided to stay the night. Caught off guard by Frank's sudden request, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of apprehension. After all, I had an early morning ahead, with plans to embark on a long-awaited road trip with my family. Sensing my hesitation, Frank sheepishly confessed that he had assumed I would welcome the idea with open arms, unaware of the inconvenience it posed. Reluctantly, I had to decline Frank's request, much to his disappointment. With a heavy heart, he bid us farewell, leaving me to wonder about the true motives behind his unexpected desire to spend the night. Hours later, as I checked in with Jack to ensure their safe arrival home, I couldn't help but inquire about Frank's peculiar behavior. But to my surprise, Jack was just as baffled as I was, leaving me to ponder the mystery of Frank's unanticipated overnight stay. As I pulled up to the security gate of my gated community, armed with souvenirs from my recent vacation, little did I know I was about to stumble upon a mystery that would send chills down my spine. Jay, the head of security, eyed the gifts in my hands, his curiosity piqued by the label bearing the name of my recent destination. "Fresh off the plane, huh?" Jay remarked, a furrow forming on his brow. "We thought we saw someone scaling your fence last night. Thought it might have been you. Went to check on it, but everything seemed quiet." My heart skipped a beat as I hurried home, my mind racing with possibilities. Burglary? Intruder? I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled over me like a heavy shroud. But as I stepped through the threshold of my home, relief flooded over me. Everything appeared undisturbed, just as I had left it. Yet, the sense of foreboding lingered, a silent specter haunting the corners of my mind. As the night descended, so too did the nightmares that had plagued me for weeks. The faceless specter returned, its icy grip tightening around my throat as I struggled to break free from its suffocating embrace. Desperate for respite, I turned to sleeping pills in a bid to escape the clutches of my tormentor. The next day brought more questions than answers. Jack, my co-worker and confidant, approached me with concern etched into his features. Frank, our elusive friend, had vanished without a trace, his absence a glaring anomaly in the fabric of our daily lives. Determined to unravel the mystery, Jack and I embarked on a quest to locate our missing comrade. But our efforts were met with frustration as the trail grew cold, leaving us grasping at shadows and half-formed suspicions. As night fell once more, a faint voice pierced the silence, calling out to me from the darkness beyond my doorstep. With trepidation coursing through my veins, I ventured outside, my senses on high alert for any sign of danger. And there, lying in the shadows, I found Frank, broken, battered, and barely conscious. With the help of the security team, we rushed him to the hospital, his agonized cries echoing in the stillness of the night. At the hospital, amidst tears and apologies, Frank revealed the truth behind his disappearance. It began innocently enough, a chance encounter with my enigmatic neighbor during a smoke break. But what started as a casual conversation soon spiraled into a sinister trap, with Frank ensnared in a web of deceit and manipulation. As Frank's confession unfolded, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, revealing a dark and twisted tale of betrayal and deceit. And with each revelation, the shadows that had long haunted my dreams seemed to draw closer, their whispered secrets threatening to consume us all. It all started innocently enough, a chance meeting between Frank and the girl next door during a smoke break on the night of our dinner. Her smile was like a siren's call, drawing him into a world of intrigue and forbidden desire. And when she whispered promises of a night alone, Frank couldn't resist the temptation to indulge in her company. But when Saturday rolled around and Frank expressed his desire to spend the night at my place, Jack and I were none the wiser to his ulterior motives. Little did we know that Frank's disappointment at being turned down would lead him down a dark and dangerous path. As Frank recounted the bone-chilling events of that fateful night, the air in the room seemed to grow colder, the shadows dancing ominously against the walls. It was a tale straight out of a horror novel, each word dripping with dread and disbelief. With a trembling voice, Frank described the descent into darkness that befell him as he awoke in the dead of night, the once cozy confines of the girl's house transformed into a sinister labyrinth of shadows and silence. Frantic fingers groped in the darkness, searching desperately for a glimmer of light in the oppressive gloom, but all they found was an eerie emptiness that seemed to swallow him whole. As the darkness closed in around him, Frank's senses were assaulted by the suffocating silence of the abandoned house, broken only by the rasping coughs that racked his body. With each breath, he felt the weight of the dust settling like a shroud, suffocating and oppressive, as if the very walls themselves were closing in on him. But it was the sight that greeted him when he finally managed to illuminate the darkness with the feeble glow of his cell phone's flashlight that truly chilled him to the bone. There, suspended in the stillness of the room, hung the lifeless form of a woman, her pallid face twisted in a grotesque parody of death. With a primal scream tearing from his throat, Frank bolted for the door, only to find his escape thwarted by the cold metal of the lock, mocking him from the other side. Panic surged through his veins as he realized he was trapped, a helpless prisoner in a house of horrors. Driven by sheer desperation, Frank made a leap of faith, hurling himself from the second-floor balcony in a reckless bid for freedom. The sickening crunch of bone-meeting earth echoed through the night as he landed on my property, his broken form lying motionless in the darkness. And there he lay, battered and broken, for 2 agonizing days, a silent witness to the terrors that lurked just beyond the threshold of my home. It was a nightmare beyond comprehension, a waking hell from which there seemed to be no escape, and yet, somehow, against all odds, Frank had survived to tell the tale, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unspeakable evil. But the terror didn't end there. With each passing night, the nightmares returned with a vengeance, their grip tightening around my throat like a vice. And as I woke each morning to find bruises and scratches marring my skin, the realization dawned on me. I was being hunted by a force beyond my comprehension. It was then that I understood the true gravity of the situation. The box that Frank had disposed of held the key to my protection, a safeguard against the malevolent spirits that sought to torment me. And with its loss, I was left vulnerable to the whims of a supernatural entity hell-bent on my destruction. Now, as the darkness closed in around me, I knew that I was facing a battle for my very soul. But armed with the knowledge of what lurked in the shadows, I refused to cower in fear. For I would not rest until I had banished the darkness from my home and reclaimed my peace of mind once and for all. As the sun rose on what should have been a day of triumph, the air crackled with anticipation at my workplace. For weeks, I'd been eagerly awaiting the news of promotions within my department, confident that my hard work and dedication would finally pay off. But when the announcement came, it shattered my hopes like glass against the pavement. My name wasn't on the list, and the sting of disappointment hung heavy in the air, casting a shadow over everything I did. That night, as darkness descended like a shroud, I found myself drowning in a sea of despair. Each breath felt heavier than the last, each heartbeat a painful reminder of my perceived failure. And then, in the depths of my despair, a dangerous thought crept in like a whisper in the night. Maybe I shouldn't be here anymore. Maybe it was better to just let go. And then, without warning, the world went black, swallowing me whole in its embrace. It was as if I was suspended in limbo, trapped between sleep and wakefulness, a prisoner in my own mind. Through the haze, I caught glimpses of my loved ones, my brother, my parents, my wife, their faces etched with fear and concern. I heard their panicked voices, their screams of terror echoing in the void before darkness claimed me once more. When I finally awoke, it was to the sterile scent of hospital linens and the sound of my wife's tears. My family surrounded me, their faces a blur of relief and worry. I struggled to piece together what had happened, the memory foggy and fragmented in my mind. And then, like a dam breaking, the truth came flooding back. Sarah's quick thinking had saved my life, her vigilance catching the first glimpse of danger through the lens of our surveillance camera. With a sense of urgency born of love and desperation, she rallied my family to action, their swift response pulling me back from the brink of oblivion. But even in their haste, the damage had been done. The robe, once innocuous, now a twisted instrument of harm, its sharp edges leaving jagged wounds in their wake. As I lay there, battered but alive, I knew that I couldn't go back. The house that had once been a sanctuary now felt like a prison, its walls closing in around me with each passing moment. And so, with a heavy heart and a newfound sense of gratitude for the precious gift of life, I made the difficult decision to leave it all behind. With my wife by my side and my family's unwavering support, we embarked on a new chapter, leaving the ghosts of the past behind us as we sought out a fresh start. The truth revealed. As I delved deeper into the mystery surrounding our haunted abode, I found myself confronting unsettling truths that sent shivers down my spine. When I questioned Sarah and Frank about our enigmatic neighbor Kim, their descriptions mirrored every detail of the woman who haunted my dreams. It was as if we were all tethered to the same dark specter, connected by an invisible thread of dread. Determined to uncover the secrets lurking within the walls of our home, I traced back the property's history, only to unearth a chilling tale of tragedy and loss. The previous owner had endured a harrowing ordeal similar to my own, narrowly escaping death, but left half paralyzed by the sinister forces that plagued the house. His decision to sell the property had led me to become its unwitting new owner. But the web of darkness didn't end there. I soon discovered that our neighbor Kim had once been the mistress of a wealthy man who lavished her with a lavish lifestyle. However, when he discovered her infidelity, he abandoned her, leaving her destitute and heartbroken. Consumed by despair, Kim tragically took her own life within the very walls of the house she once called home. The twists of fate continued to unravel as I learned that the new owner of my former abode was none other than the brother of the previous owner, a man whose family, driven by mysterious motives, had insisted on reclaiming the property. The details surrounding their decision remained shrouded in secrecy, adding another layer of intrigue to the already baffling tale. Relieved to have severed ties with the haunted house, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease lingering in the air. The mysteries that surrounded our ordeal were far from solved, leaving me haunted by unanswered questions and the chilling realization that some secrets were better left undisturbed. Thank you to the viewers for joining us on this journey into the unknown. We hope these bone-chilling ghost encounters have left you with a sense of wonder and a newfound appreciation for the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding. Until next time, may you find solace in the realm of the living, and may the spirits of the departed remain at peace.